All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cover 7 podcast. We're joined by a special guest, Zach Magic Man Edwards, the former quarterback of the Barcelona Dragons in the European Football League of Football. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm happy to chat it up with you guys.
Absolutely. The season just wrapped up in September. How's the offseason been so far?
It's been good, man. It's obviously a little different coming home back in Minnesota now. A little change up from the sunny weather in Spain, but it's been good, man. It's been good to reconnect with the family and kind of bunker down and live a little bit different of a life for a little bit. And I'm enjoying it, being able to see my family every day and whatnot. But excited to be able to go back and play ball again.
Yeah, so obviously you've established yourself as arguably one of the best players in ELF over the last couple of years. Maybe widely snubbed for MVP this last past year. But how did you get to European football? Because a lot of Americans don't even know that European football exists, and the journey can be quite a long one in a lot of cases. And a lot of guys go for XFL or USFL or NFL. Do you know what I mean? And so going to Europe is quite a big jump. And yeah, where did it all begin? And how did you get to Europe in the first place?
Yeah, so well, I appreciate that. First off, thank you. And in terms of the snub thing, man, I can't say anything. Sean's my guy. I'm happy he got it done. He's doing his thing over in Munich right now. So if Sean watches this, there's no hate. A lot of love for Sean, but it is what it is. But no, man, it all started in college. Obviously, I went to a smaller Division III school up here in Minnesota. So coming out of college, obviously I didn't have a ton of pro NFL, CFL looks. I did a couple All-Star games. I went and trained in New Jersey with a couple good trainers and quarterback coaches. And, I felt like I had a chance. I felt like I had the potential to continue to grow and to continue to play football at a high level. Unfortunately, at that time as well as right when COVID hit. So I literally did my pro day, and then the ensuing 3-4 months, everybody was kind of in lockdown. So didn't really hear anything. Luckily enough, Bart, the GM for the Dragons, hit me up asking if I wanted to come play for the Los Suteled Pioneers, Serie B team in Spain. At the time, I really had no idea much about the European football scene. However, in college, one of my coaches had told me to make a Europlayers account my junior year. So I did that back then, and that's actually eventually how Bart ended up finding me. So I'm very thankful I did that. But yeah, man, I went over there, didn't really know what to expect. Obviously kind of in weird times with COVID kind of affecting the whole world, but I figured, it's a chance to continue to play football and do something I love. And on top of it, you get to go see the world. So, you can't really think of too many better things than that. So, I said, let's do it. Went over there, started that year off. It was obviously a little bit different, you know, than what you're used to here playing college football in the States. But, it was a ton of fun. I met a bunch of great people throughout the process, and we ended up going 8-0 that year. We won the Serie B championship in Spain, which was great. And then about halfway through that year, I'd say, Bart pretty much got the job as the general manager for the Dragons, and was like, hey, you're doing great for my team right now. Would you be interested in potentially staying longer and becoming the quarterback for the Dragons? And, I said, absolutely. It's on a bigger stage, bigger lights, bigger names, and I'm all about continuing to level up my game, play against the best, to try and be the best. So I took it and ran with it. And, obviously year one was a little tough. We were we kind of struggled through year one, but, there's a lot of talent in Spain, and those dudes come to play ball, man. There's a lot of dogs down there in Spain. Very happy I had that experience for those 2 years. Met a lot of amazing people, and I wish them the absolute best moving forward as well. And yeah, so that kind of took me into year two, and we went out there and just did our best to kind of get our vengeance from year one, and it happened when it happened. We got to have some fun, throw the ball around. Got my boy Kyle, became a great friend of mine. Was able to throw him lots of touchdowns, lots of passes, and unfortunately, we came up a little short of the big game, but overall, it was still a great year and had a lot of fun and enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's kind of a brief run through.
Awesome. And just to clarify, I love Sean Shelton. I think he's a great player as well. I just think you played better than him this year. That's all it was. But no, he's awesome. Obviously, what he's done in Europe is unprecedented. He's been killing it for years and years. Was the face of that franchise for a long time. So yeah, everyone's got a lot of respect for that guy, 100%. But how did the domestic league in Spain compare to Elf? Because Spanish football isn't the best football in Europe, to put it bluntly. And you're playing in the second division of Spain as well, right? And so how did that compare to Elf, which is now arguably, without a doubt, probably actually the best football in Europe?
It was very different. Obviously, you get to kind of see. I mean, from an organization standpoint, I think it was one of the biggest things. Obviously, there's a lot more going into the overall like task of playing European League of Football at that level. Obviously, like with all the logistics and all the different teams, and it kind of turned into an all-star team for the Spanish teams. Because there's not just one team in Barcelona that we could pull all the guys from, like you could say, in Hamburg or Frankfurt and such like that. We had to take all the Madrid guys, all the Barcelona guys, everybody from all over the place. So that first year was a little bit of a struggle. Just like a cohesiveness. These dudes have been playing each other and battling against each other, their entire lives, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you guys actually have to be teammates and compete at the best level in Europe. So it was a little bit of a learning curve, I felt like. And I feel like a lot of us didn't really know, what it was going to be about, how competitive it was going to be, so we kind of had to learn and take a few on the chin to kind of get to that point in the process. But I think the biggest difference was just, the comfortability of being able to play at that level. I think there are a lot of Spanish guys that are able to play at that high of a level, but they had just never had to before because, kind of like you said, the talent in Spain is so dispersed amongst, all these different teams. Obviously, you have the Badalona Dracs and the Osos Rivas and those teams that are more so, and the Black Demons that are the bigger teams in Spain. But when you combine all three, they can become a serious franchise. So I think we kind of saw that in just the building, the stepping stones to what those guys can become.
Awesome. And then year one to year. Sorry, Alex, you go.
No, I just wanted to look back on last year. One of the big stories in the ELF was the jump the Dragons made, from their first season to this year, this past season, going to the playoffs. Can you talk about some of the growth that you saw from year one to year two in Barcelona?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things was a lot of the guys took the off season very seriously. The year prior, a lot of guys we were all really coming off a season in Spain. We had all, like, because the championship in Spain is usually like the end of May, and then camp started like mid-May. So we were kind of like overlapping. These guys had all just played a full season, and then you're about to play an entire ELF season. So I think, and then going into year two, a lot of guys didn't play that season. So they really just kind of focused on the off season, on the grind, got better, focused on the stuff that they wanted to get better at so that they could come into camp being more fresh and ready to go. So I think that was one huge thing. And then mentally, I think everybody was just kind of fed up of losing. Those Spanish guys don't like losing. They don't like getting pushed around, so they got a lot of fight in them, and they mentally prepared themselves. This year is going to be different. And I was happy to be part of it and try and lead the way through it all. And it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. What do you think was the key to your success this year? Because, yeah, as Alex spoke about, you just said you made a huge jump. But I mean, was there anything like you were doing? I don't know, coaching. Like, was there anything new plays you were running, or any sort of like kind of new style of play that you were trying to implement that made you so much more successful? I mean, because Carl was obviously a huge part of your success, but you can't put that success all on one guy. So yeah, what was it? Do you think?
Well, definitely Kyle played a huge role. I think he was obviously amazing for us, but I think the X factor was Coach Widener for us. He came in and, he did so much for us in terms of just building that culture, kind of finalizing that culture, making an identity for who the Dragons wanted to be, allowing us to be who we wanted to be. I think there's a lot of personalities on that team, and you kind of gotta just let us flow. In terms of from the Spanish guys to the Americans to the French guys we had a lot of characters on that team, and we love to have fun. And coach kind of took that and ran with it. He helped guide us and put us in ways to be successful, but at the same time he let us have our fun, and he let us kind of play to our strengths. And I think overall over the course of the year he did a great job at kind of fine grooming us into a well-oiled machine. And just offensively on top of that, he put us in so many good positions for me to be successful, and for our team to put points on the board.
Being a kid from Minnesota, what was the best part about living in Spain for all that time?
I think just being by the water and the beaches, man. I think, obviously I grew up in Minnesota, didn't leave Minnesota much. Just kind of living in that tropical environment with, the palm trees, the beaches, the ocean right there. It was really cool. It was really cool to experience. And then, just meeting all the amazing people that were there. It was cool to, kind of indulge in that culture and, see the way of life out there. And obviously it's so much different than, typical Midwest way of life. It's just completely different. So it was fun to kind of be like a coast kid for a little bit.
Awesome. Do you see a future for yourself in Europe outside of football?
I think so. I could potentially see myself over there. I do love Europe, and I've only been able to see a short-lived part of it because we're only in places for like a couple days when we visit or playing games and whatnot. So I would love to. I think Europe's awesome, and I'd be more than happy to travel around. And if I find something that I love and it's pulling me back there, then I would have no regrets being over there. But we'll see, man. Time will tell.
Awesome. And so there's obviously you are one of the biggest signings this offseason so far, right? I think everyone was wondering where you were going to go. People weren't sure if you're going to go to Berlin or Munich, even maybe one of the Austrian teams. Both teams obviously lost their QBs this offseason. But you landed in Paris. What was the reason behind that, and what led you to go there?
Yeah, so it was definitely kind of a stressful process. I met with a bunch of people, obviously. Met some amazing people through the process, so very thankful for that. But no, I think from the jump, Paris kind of got on me early. I talked to a lot of, the ownership in Paris. I talked to Coach Mattioli a bunch. I really resonated with those guys. The vision that they have for this project, where they see the potential of this franchise going, and then just the hunger behind them. They're very excited. They're all in. They're hungry to be at the top of this league, and they're hungry to put the best team they possibly can on the field. So I think just from a vision standpoint, I kind of fell in love with how they were attacking the offseason and how excited they were, to go into this next year. And then the other thing on top of it, obviously I talk with Kyle pretty much every day, and Kyle was kind of felt the same way as I did, from the jump. They were really high on him, and they wanted him to be part of their franchise. And, I think part of the reason me and Kyle were so good was because of how well we connected, not only on the field, but off the field. And I think just keeping that chemistry going is only going to help us get better. And then on top of that, my guy Remy from year one with the Dragons, a lot of people forget, but he was a top 5 receiver in the league as a import, and he's a hell of a receiver. I love Remy. He was one of my closest friends off the field that year as well. So, those two together, and then we're gonna add a couple more pieces on top of that of straight talent, and I'm really excited about it. And I think really there's no limit on how successful we can be, and that's kind of why I saw myself there.
Awesome. Great. And before we let you go, I did see something recently on social media. There's a video, and someone had kind of superimposed your head on someone running towards Carl Sweet. And in that video, you pushed away the XFL, right? Implying that you chose an elf over the XFL. Is there any like truth to that? Did you like after 2 great years in Europe and kind of put yourself out there and get a bunch of tape? Was there any interest from any other leagues in the States?
Not really. I think they kind of just did that for fun, but
Yeah.
no, the whole XFL thing was kind of weird because they did all their tryouts and whatnot when we were in mid-season, so I couldn't go to any of the tryouts. I had a couple people that I reached out to send my film for, but a lot of those XFL QBs were kind of handpicked from guys that fell out of the NFL or guys that were really good in the spring league or ex Division I guys. They want kind of those big name guys. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet, but no, I think last year I was in the USFL draft, but wasn't selected. That's how I ended up back in the Dragons year too. But no, man, I'm all in on Paris right now. I'm excited. I want to go get one of those European League of Football championships, the well evaded. So,
well, I believe you can do it, man. I think I watch almost every elf game this year, and you're without a doubt one of the most exciting players in the league. And I've been following Mark Mattioli for a while, and he's an amazing coach. Again, one of my favourite coaches in Europe. And so I think you guys have got such a great chance of going all the way this year if you can put all the bits together. So yeah, super excited for you guys.
I'm excited. It's coming together. Obviously, we've signed a couple guys so far, but obviously it's just a start. And I know of all the guys we've signed so far, everybody's pretty hungry. Everybody wants to make this big fuss about how we're favorites, already, but there's still a long ways to go, and I think everybody knows that. And Coach Mattioli will definitely keep that fresh in our head that we have not done anything yet. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the culture of the team, the energy with it, and everything to come with another summer in Europe, man.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to watch you play in the Paris football team's first season. You plus Remy plus Kyle Swede plus a bunch of straight dogs joining the Paris team. We can't wait to see it. Thanks so much for joining us, Zach.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. Always happy to touch base with you guys. Love what you guys do. You guys are growing the game of football over in Europe to new lengths. So everybody, I know, thanks you guys greatly for all the coverage you guys do and whatnot. So we appreciate y'all as well.